retards, who would you were college football play, Mike? Was it Bobby Boucher from the Waterboy?
Ooh.
Gump.
Ooh.
If you were a college and you had to take a retard like through a DEI or something, which one would you take? I got to be honest with you. I think that going with Bobby Boucher is the better bet
Bobby
because
Boucher.
Bobby Boucher is the better pick.
you've only
Yeah.
you've only seen Forrest run. You never seen him get tackled. What happens if he gets tackled? Maybe he gets hurt. Maybe he's I think Bobby Boucher is who you'd have to go to if you were forced to choose a retarded
Yeah,
person in
I'm definitely.
college. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm definitely taking Bobby Boucher. He was a killer at middle linebacker. You go 4-3, put him in the middle. He's Ray Lewis on steroids in the middle there. Nothing's getting past Bobby Boucher. One thing you got to worry about with Bobby Boucher is though he doesn't know what to do when he gets the football. He tends to give it back to the other team to want to tackle them, giving up a first down there. But we can work on that. That's workable. Now, Forrest is he is your one trick pony. He's just your kick returner. He is a Devin Hester, game changer, Hall of Famer. But my middle linebackers influence the game more than my kick returner and punt returner. So it's got to be Bobby Boucher all day, every day. And he's going to keep the boys hydrated on defense. You know?
Bobby Boucher was just more of a beast. What I mean? He could mix it up. He could get in there, tackle people, whatever. So if I'm taking a retard, if I'm a college team and I'm forced to take a retard, Bobby Boucher is my retard. Derpy, who do you like? Who do you prefer? Do you like Forrest Gump or do you like Bobby Boucher? If you were a college team and you were forced to choose a retarded person, who do you like out of those two?
Well, Forrest Gump only ran the ball once in Alabama.
That's true. And he's still running.
And he's still running.
Right.
But Bobby Boucher was their complete offense. So I'm going to go Bobby Boucher.
You're right, but you know what? But Forrest Gump did get on Alabama. I mean, that's kind of a
he was a walk on though. Although being a walk on, yeah.
I'm still going Bobby Boucher.
So who ain't Derpy? Bobby Boucher. I think we could all agree. If you were a college team and you had to choose a retarded person to play on your football team, Bobby Boucher, I think is the everybody picked Bobby, right?
Yeah. I'm picking Bobby Boucher. One, he natural talent in the middle backer position there. Bobby Boucher also great student athlete. He was going to classes. He was learning. What we never saw what Forrest did in college. And Forrest is always off doing adventures. You don't know how committed he was to the game of football. He's going to one day decides to join the Army or get drafted to go join the Army. Next day he's hanging out with JFK. The next day, he's out down in the shrimp boat during the storm. I need my players committed to the game. Bobby Boucher is committed to the game. Give me Bobby Bo. Who would have thought? We're breaking down film.
Well, speaking of
oh, Jesus Christ.
My eyes caught the comment as well. Let me get there. Give me a second, Mike. I'm a little slow at things.
That was a good
speaking of having a retard on staff, Mike, thank you for all handling that.
You're welcome.
But, we do want to say good morning. Good morning to everybody today on the Two Dum Yinzers. This is episode 712. Good morning. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff to talk about today. Tortilla Jackson on the board. Good morning, my friend. Tortilla says, I'm going with Shane Gillis at left tackle. I guess if you're going to start going outside of those particular players, but there's plenty of you pick for your college team. As I said, I particularly like Bobby Boucher. He just seemed like a beast. He was, what was he like? Talked about his mom or something.
Yeah, his mama.
Or talk about
his mama. Yeah, the water. It's hydrated,
man. What freaked him out? Like, what made him go off? Is that what freaked him out? Though somebody messed with. I don't.
Yeah. You don't mess with the water. You don't drink Gatorade. You don't like when the professor was, talking about the medulla oblongata. He was like, "No, that's not what my mama said." And professor made fun of his mama, and
Oh, you're wrong, Colonel Sanders.
yeah, that's right. He beat up Colonel Sanders looking professor. So
You're
don't
wrong,
make fun
Colonel
of his mama.
Sanders.
Yeah, don't make fun of the water, and don't make fun of his mama. And you're on Bobby Boucher's good side.
Yeah, there you go, everybody. Joe Dirt it off.
Joe, it's a coordinator. This we are on point right here.
No, that's
Joe Dirte. Joe
That's
Dirte.
just Arthur Smith.
We could make a whole retard team.
I like
yeah.
what
Good morning,
Derpy
everybody.
said.
Good morning.
Arthur Smith as offensive coordinator. I think Arthur Smith should be the head coach. Matt Canada will be the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, he has retard face.
Yeah, I know. It's like
Arthur
looking in
Smith
the mirror when I look at Arthur
face.
Smith.
He'd fit right in.
I look at Arthur Smith and I kind of see you.
get
him a big beard.
Me?
Yeah.
He looks nothing like me, but
I know, right?
That was a nice try, though. Nice try.
Derpy will be the team manager.
High five for
Derpy's the team manager. We are the play-by-play booth. We got this going on, guys.
No, he's on our team. Well, anyway, guys, let's get into it. Let's get into it. Good morning, everybody. Again, this is episode 712 of the Two Dum Yinzers. We are back. It's Thursday. It's the first day of spring. Unfortunately, it's not as warm as the last day of winter. Last day of winter here in Pittsburgh was 80 degrees yesterday, and today it's going to be a high of 60. Wow. Which that works for me. As long as we're out of the winter weather, the winter months, all that stuff's behind us, I'm cool with that. Let's enjoy some spring weather now. We got a lot of things going on here in the spring. We got big March Madness tournament starting today. You got the UFL season starting 1 week from today. You got plenty going on in the NFL. The Pirates opener is next 7 days from now. Penguins still in they're still playing. So there's a lot of things going on, guys. Let's jump into some football talk. Let's try to catch up on some things we may have missed in the past day or so. Guys, we picked up Juan Thornhill. We talked about that the last day that we were here, Mike, and he's going to wear the number 22. He did select his number. He's going to be 22, which takes me to the next point that I want to talk about here. Apparently this morning, news came out that Najee Harris had more to say. He started being interviewed down in Los Angeles with his new team last week. He was happy to be somewhere that had bells and whistles, basically, in a new place down in Los Angeles compared to what it was like here in Pittsburgh. And he went on about that. And you know what? That's fine, because our report card tells us the same thing every year. We didn't learn anything new when Najee opened his mouth. But apparently, the more recent story, what that, Derpy?
I said I hope the curse continues where post-Steeler players stink when they leave the Steelers.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, you always hope that. But they got a nice thing going on down there, and I think that Najee might have added to what they're trying to do. So anyway, good for them. But Najee ends up coming out. The most recent thing he said was when we were playing the Chargers this year. Mind you, that was the first home game that we played. Najee came out and said, I thought during that game I could really see myself playing for the Chargers. I really like that team. I'd like to play for them. And if that's this, Mike, did we not get 100% of Najee this year? Did we not get, the guy that might have been fighting for a contract? I mean, the guy that, we didn't give him his extension year. He comes out. Yeah. Now says this, that he could see himself. He'd really like to play for the Chargers. And it ends out like, where did he go? The season was over and he went to the Chargers.
Yeah.
Was that, so I mean, was there a lack of effort on his part? I don't know. But this is, I mean, I just got this within the last half hour.
Yeah. If that was his mindset, he was already out the door. He was already gone.
Right.
The minute that, the Steelers did not pick up that 5th year, instead of hunkering down and proving to this team, like, I'm going to make you regret this. I'm going to go out there and make myself a shit ton of money. No, I'm going to go out there. Oh, this Chargers team who only ran for 61 yards against us. That's a team I can see go playing for that team that only can muster up 61 yards against the Pittsburgh Steelers front seven. Hell yeah, that's the team I want to go play for. It's Najee's character is being revealed a lot since he's left this team. Also, he was talking about like a lack of leadership on offense because it was a young offense. There's a couple type of people in this world that would notice a power vacuum in a leadership position. Those that will bemoan the fact, and those that will put on their big boy pants and take charge and step up into that role and take that responsibility to get everyone on the same page. And we're kind of seeing the kind of guy Najee Harris is. It's a bells and whistles kind of guy, an easygoing kind of guy going, I want to play for that team that my team is currently playing and whooping their ass because, I just want to go over there and play with them. It's just, I'm going to miss, the guaranteed 1,000 yards from him. I'm going to miss the great ball security from Najee Harris, but I'm not going to miss this kind of attitude of, apparently circling in the locker room from him.
Agreed.
Maybe he is the real cancer in the locker room and not George Pickens.
Be honest,
he's George Pickens that going out there fighting people trying to win.
I think that it probably extends more than Najee. All these things you're saying, I think probably happens around the league 100% of the time with players. I mean, guys talk shit. Guys, especially athletes. And you know what? I don't care. I'm happy for him. Hope he has a good life. But as I said, or as you were saying, Mike, we have to find. I mean, he's the all-time rushing leader at Alabama. We have to somehow shoes now. The guy never came. The guy had security. The guy gained us 52 first downs a season. The guy gained us 1,000 yards a season. The guy gained us 7 touchdowns a season. We have to figure out now how to do that. If Jaylen Warren is going to be the guy, and we're going to run a one back and then have our third down guy, he has a lot of ground to gain. He now has to play the other part of the time and try to gain 52 more first downs this year, 1,000 yards total, this year. So I mean, there's a lot, that goes with Najee. I just think overall, whatever his point is, maybe he is pissed because we didn't offer him his extension. I don't know what his deal is, but again, I don't hold anything against him. I'm sure, like at Derpy said, I'd like to see him go to the Chargers and be terrible. Just, I mean, you don't want to see anybody go anywhere when, we had guys leave our team to go win Super Bowls, and that bullshit sucks. So, it's kind of all related to me. But Najee Harris, yes, he made the comment this morning. He really, really thought that he could see himself playing for this Charger team, Mike, and that was after the very first home game of the year for the Steelers. Right. It wasn't like it was the end of the year. He wasn't battered and torn. There wasn't, all the controversy. No, this was very, very early in the season.
Yeah. As we, as the team was winning, it wasn't like you said at the end of the year when, everything was falling off the rails. It's like the team was starting to roll at this point. We win 20-10 over the Chargers, doing whatever we wanted against them offensively. And he's thinking, yeah, this is a team I want to go play for. A team that struggled to run the ball and throw the ball against us. It's just weird that you're thinking that in the middle of a game, middle of a competitive game too. And it's just a wild thing to say. And, I will give Najee credit, and I've always given him credit for this. He's not afraid to speak his mind. And that's refreshing to hear as a fan of sports, because a lot of these guys, they don't want to say what's on their mind when it comes to the game. They don't want to ruffle any feathers or anything. But, Najee's never been afraid to speak his mind. And that's one of the things I really like about him. He's not afraid, to say what's on his mind. And that's better than a lot of athletes that just talking cliches.
I want to say good morning to Corey Beavers. Good morning, my friend. Corey says, good morning, fellas. Did you guys hear the ESPN take that Tyler Show is one of the top talented QBs in the draft? I did not. You know what? I really, it's tough this time of year because everybody's one of the best. Everybody's raising the charts. Everyone's going down the charts. I just try to hold on and not fall off at this point. But I could believe it, though. Tortilla says Najee is going to have his first season under 1,000 yards. He wants to talk shit about our equipment, but it kept him looking tough. Watch him get injured this year, and we'll see how the new nice stuff is, the new sheet, if you will. Also, he says our does suck, no doubt, and we get too many injuries on our team. And I think this one hits the nail on the head. What Corey says next, he says, sounds like Naj was pandering to the LA media and the fan base, which would make a lot of sense. Let's be honest. Do you think anyone was excited to have a running back that averages 40 to 50 yards a game? He has to play the political game now. And I also do want to say good morning to Roger. Roger, my man on the board. He says apparently he isn't afraid to speak his mind until after he's left. So again, I don't think Naj is any different than anybody else around the league. I just think that this one hits home, of course, because he left our team and he went somewhere else and he likes it better. And I think a natural reaction for guys like us, the fans, the people that support and love our Steelers, to think the way that we are. But I don't think that this is really out of ordinary. I think if you went around the league and watched all the press conferences when somebody leaves their team, you may get similar stuff. I just don't pay attention to everybody's press conference. But I tend to think it's a little bit of what everybody's saying. But at the end of the day, you know what? I don't wish them any harm. I don't wish them to do great. I don't want them to do good against us. But I like the guy. He wasn't a problem. He wasn't. He had a level head. And you know what? I like transparency in athletes. I do. I like to hear what they have to say, opposed to going the political route. I'm not. I'm not into the political scene. So I just like people to be transparent. I like them to say what they mean and mean what they say, because I'm not that smart. And at the end of the day, I could do less thinking if they do that. But that's the scoop, guys, on Najee Harris. He's happy. He's happy to be in Los Angeles. He's a young guy too. Who doesn't want to join a little bit of nightlife? Maybe in LA. I mean, Pittsburgh, we literally have next to nothing for nightlife anymore. I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
And he's from out west too, I believe. So he's going closer to home and stuff too. So might as well. Fuck it. You only live once, Najee. Good for him.
Steelers, of course, we talked about the other day. Sticking on the offense side of the ball, we talked about their pickup. On the defense side of the ball a little bit, Mike. We were talking about the offense. We talked about the guy from New England on Tuesday. We also signed, in the meantime, another defensive tackle, this Asezi Atamawiu. Apparently,
exactly.
He appears to be another, right. I think he's like Hawaiian-ish. I think he got like that whole vibe. But he's a defensive tackle. He played for Jacksonville, a couple other teams. I think Minnesota maybe at some point. But Asezi Atamawiu, he did get signed just yesterday by the Pittsburgh Steelers. So another defensive tackle, Mike, again, addressing some of these issues on a topical level before the draft, I think is a good idea, because now you're kind of you worked on depth at all those positions that you needed somebody. You got your wide receivers, you got defensive linemen, you got this, you got that. Now, no matter what you do in the draft, you're not going to bury yourself. Say that Jackson Dart is available at 21 and you take him. You don't want to say, well, crap, we took him, so now we have no defensive lineman. We're going to have to make up for this in the later rounds. But they kind of covered their bases. They went out and got a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think that's probably the way to do it, Mike. And now they could handle the treat the draft differently. You could come at it from a different angle and maybe get the guys you want and not worry so much, and maybe things will play out for us that way. I can't complain. And Mike, we still have a lot of money on this team to spend if we would need to use it for whatever. So I like that, Mike. How do you, again, I mean, some of these pickups, I know that Kenny G, Gainwell coming over from Philly, I've seen him. I'm familiar with him. A couple of these other guys, like these defensive tackles, things like that. I'm not familiar with the Jacksonville defensive tackle. But you got to admit, Mike, that this is probably the way to do it if you're, again, trying to cover your ass on all levels, right?
Yeah, and it's giving them flexibility into the draft to where they don't have to maybe overdraft some players in a certain spot, like, oh, we really need this position because we didn't get it in free agency, but on our board this guy's like a 4th round talent, but is he gonna make it that far? D linemen are going, let's grab him in the 1st or in the 3rd. You're not gonna do anything stupid like that. Now they have flexibility to more or less get the best available player at whatever position, wherever they're picking, which is a great luxury to have.
I like
yes, we need a quarterback, but you know what? We can bridge till next year, which is kind of what, the plan kind of seems to be, because they're okay if Aaron Rodgers doesn't come here or not. From stuff I've read, like they're okay with Mason. So, okay, kick can down the road, use 2026, find your guy there, and use this year to build up Your roster, which is what we've been saying for a long time, you and I, is they got to build out the roster before you can get your guy. And a lot of these guys that we got on defense for the defensive line, their depth. And this is the Harry Roseman influence on Andy Weedle coming from Philly, O-line and D-line depth. And you look at, Philly, this is what they do. Add a lot of guys on the defensive line. You know who your good guys are going to be. Now you're filling in rotational players and who can hit, who can play. And then a lot of these guys probably won't even make it out of camp. Right now, you're just getting guys, get them into training camp to see what happens. If they stick, great. If not, oh well. So I like the way they're building this D line. I think I would love to see. I know people hate to hear it because we spend so much money on the defensive side of the ball, but there's a couple really good defensive linemen that you can get in the first round and play. But there's also some really good guys in the third round that are going to be there that I think can step
there's
in
just
and play
so much
too.
on offense. I don't think that anybody could justify in their right mind going with the defensive lineman in the first round. With again, you don't have the depth on the offensive line. You barely have come on, let's just say GP or DK goes down with an injury. Say they blow out a knee in week 2. We're back to where we were last year at the receiver spot, providing Roman Wilson doesn't step up. And again, we're still short, Mike. We're still thin at the running back position. We have to get another running back. So again, at the end, and a quarterback. So at the end of the day, there's way too many issues for us to justify coming out and saying, well, you know what, let's go ahead and pick a defensive player with our number one pick, especially considering the fact that we already have so much invested in the defense. I just think it would be crazy.
It would be, but
right?
I'm not opposed to it because we saw what happened down the stretch. Teams were running on us at will. We also
seen we couldn't score points in the games that mattered.
I know, and you need both. And like we can still take a receiver in the first round because George Pickens' contract expires next year, and so does Calvin.
I was going to get to that next, so don't jump into that just yet, Mike. I was going to get into that just next.
Yeah.
But my next question is this. I mean, you're 100% right. Because if we do lose a receiver, we're right back in the position that we were last year. George Pickens hasn't had the big injury yet. You don't want to see it, but let's just say it happens this year. Or DK. I mean, anything could happen. But you're 100% right. That's where I was going to go here with the next question, Mike. GP, he's going to be demanding big money next year. I mean, he's moving up the chart. And if he has a better season this year because he has a guy on the other side to open himself up more, which he does in DK where he never had before. Let's say Pickens, gets that 1,000-yard season. Let's just say his touchdown number goes up, a decent amount. We're not going to pay George Pickens next year because we're already paying DK Metcalf, number 4 wide receiver in the league, money. And the Steelers, I can't possibly imagine, Mike, would pay out that kind of money to their 2 receivers on offense. Again, other guys are starting to get up there too. Mike, there's guys that have been in the league that are also, through the draft that we're going to have to pay or get rid of. But I think the one that's really, really glaring, obviously, is that George Pickens. How are we going to handle that? Somebody's going to give him the money. He's probably going to go to that Madden team in Cincinnati that has nothing but top receivers and no defense, no offensive line. I can see something like that happen. I think an 8-year-old kid's building that team. But that's going to be a big hole to fill, Mike, especially what we just went through. We didn't have a wide receiver at that, the other spot last year. We finally got it. Hopefully this is a real good year. Hopefully Roman Wilson steps up. But we're going to be in a very interesting position, Mike, next year, especially if we're waiting till next year to get our quarterback. Now you're going to have to find a quality wide receiver who fits the 1 or the 2 and a starting quarterback or your franchise quarterback all in that same draft. So, you want to try to get as much done as you can this year because, again, that George Pickens is going to be a big story next year.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. And that's why even if they do, let's say, go extend George Pickens, you can make it work. You can sign him to like a 4-year deal or a 5-year deal, whatever, and you make it to where the numbers worked, where that last year, say that 4th year and 5th year years, like there's no real cap money in there to where you can cut him if you have to, because your quarterback who you hope you draft next year on that rookie contract, when that 5th-year option kicks in, you're not paying him and George Pickens and DK Metcalf. So there's ways to make it work if you bring back George Pickens. And that might be why you take a defensive player in round 1, because now you're going to start Hopefully you don't extend TJ Watt. Hopefully Cam Hayward retires. Those contracts come off the books. Now you're going to replace those guys on the defense, and you still have that money that you can shift to the offense and use your rookie contracts on your defensive side of the ball. It's kind of like you're moving one part, moving pieces around, and trying to figure out where you're going to allocate resources going into the future. So that's part of the reason why I'm like for getting a defense player in the first round, be it cornerback, which we also need to because Slay's only here for a year. And D line, we only have 2 starters. We have a shit ton of guys there, but only 2 of them are real starters, and one of them might retire after the next year. So you might want to start about planning to replace that as well. We saw what happened when we don't plan to replace players. Look at what happened at quarterback. Look what's happening at running back right now, at wide receiver right now. That's soon going to be happening on the defensive side of the ball where all our money is. So now you have to think ahead too, not just to this year. You have to think ahead the next 3 to 4 years with each draft.
P on the board says spend some time in SoCal, Southern California, of course. He said 5s in Pittsburgh. A 5 in SoCal is a 10 in Pittsburgh, which I would disagree. I think a 5 in Southern California would be like a 24 in Pittsburgh. I don't know why. We just don't breed great looking chicks. I mean, there's few and far between, but every time I got to be honest with you, you go to nice hot places and warm places, they certainly get a lot more pretty. But I do get the point and agree 100%. P. Nice to see you, my friend. Good morning, sir. Corey says, I know we've been talking a lot about Dart, but who do you think is the next Brock Purdy type QB in this draft? And do you see him falling to us? I think the next Brock Purdy type guy would certainly fall to us, being that we were in 21 in the first round, and somebody like Brock Purdy, who is a guy that goes late. Those guys they're just so hard to figure out. It's so hard to figure out, for one, because Tom Brady went in the 6th round and he's the GOAT. And I'm still not really sold on Brock Purdy, but I understand what you're saying. I just think that's such a lightning in the bottle pick. Again, Drew Bledsoe doesn't get his chest broken on the sideline. May not have seen Tom Brady for another 10 on a different team. Getting that guy is a very difficult pick to get. That is a true lightning in the bottle draft pick, Mike. When you get somebody that steps right in, like Purdy was able to do, like Tom Brady eventually did, like Antonio Brown did in the 5th round. I mean, it's such a hard person to find. It's a diamond in the rough, no two ways about it.
Yeah.
But if you could find him, good for you.
Ooh.
But Mike, I still think he would be available for us through the 1st, through the 2nd, through the 3rd. If this guy's going to drop and be that guy, you just don't know, but he'll end up being successful. We're going to pass him many times, like we did Dan Marino and many other quarterbacks throughout history. You just don't know. You don't know who the guy is. You don't know who they are until they come and do what it is they do,
Yeah, and like the thing with Purdy too, like it was like a perfect situation. He fell into a situation that had great skill players around him, great offensive line, a quarterback friendly system, and then he also has the talent, and he has the mechanics that you look for in a quarterback to just manage an offense. And then it turned out, like, even as they were losing good players, the guy could still play ball. Like he for some reason he fell. Don't know why, because watch people break down his film who know what they're talking about when it comes to quarterback. That's how you want to play the quarterback position. Yeah, no, he plays the quarterback position the way you think it should be played, but he's not as talented as like a Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. He plays just smart football, and but I don't know if there is that guy.
Tiny back. I don't know.
He can't play. He can't play in the rain. Every time he plays in the rain,
I really have a bad taste in my mouth because of what we just went through with this midget that we had last year. I want a tall guy. Matter of fact, I want a guy that's 7'5" at this point. I can't.
You want the Madden creative character back there.
Yeah, I do. And I just keep pumping his, I'm just keep pumping his height up and just keep hitting that arrow until it won't let me go anymore. I can't deal with another midget. Not this soon, anyway. Let me jump back on the board. Mike Yinzer Joe, what's up, my friend? Good morning to you. Yinzer Joe says, I don't think the Steelers are going to pay GP big money when he could be 1,000-yard receiver every year or double his touchdown production. He either gets a modest contract or he's traded. I think so too, guys. I don't think we're going to pay him. I think somebody will. I don't think George Pickens will be around much longer this season. Maybe that's about it, guys. Let's go to Corey. Corey says, I think we are filling in DTs with a bunch of one-year contracts so we can take a wide receiver first overall. They'll let GP walk, and then when it's time to pay the rookie, they'll let DK walk and and take the next number 2. That's an interesting take, not out of the question. P says Bengals are going to set the record for the. Okay, Bengals are going to set the record for regular season 4th down conversion. Maybe they are built for that. They're not built for any other thing that goes on through the course of a football game. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in Cincinnati. We get them twice. I don't. Their defense is worse this year. It's going to be worse this year than it was last year. I love this. Games are going to be high scoring. Hey, we even scored in the 40s against them the first time last year. So,
hell yeah, we did.
Maybe that'll play to our advantage. Roger says, Yinzer Joe, I agree. He's probably traded, but his lack of production is directly related to our QB play. And people will see that. People know what George Pickens is worth. They do around the league, of course. Tortilla Jackson says Brady Cook.
Yeah,
Richard Jankowski. Missouri, yeah. I see flashes of good things about him, right? People talk. They like Brady Cook, right? You know what seems to me about?
I haven't heard a lot.
He has that name too, Mike. Mike, Brock,
Cook,
Purdy, Tom, Brady, Cook. Maybe this is, you get that guy that name. Maybe who was the guy? Brady Quinn that Cleveland took in the
he was terrible.
If he would have,
listen,
hear me out. If he would have been around in the 6th round, maybe somebody would pick him up and he would have had that great career. But you know how things go when you get drafted by Cleveland for one. But come on, Brady Cook. That's a name of a Mr. Irrelevant, if you ask me.
He does have the name of
Louisville quarterback's interesting me.
Fuck that Louisville quarterback. Fuck
I keep hearing about him.
95 years old. He's hurt all the time. Kept getting beat out at every program he was at before he was getting hurt.
But he's 6'5".
He's 6'5" and can't move in the pocket.
When
you have defensive tackles running a 4'8", 4'7", you need a quarterback who can move in the pocket. He doesn't have to be able to run around, but has to be able to move and slide up and down the pocket. And then this guy, you watch the film, he drifts back, throws off his back foot a lot. I just don't get the love affair with him. He's Brandon Whedon 2.0. I'm
gonna watch a little bit of Louisville tape. That is one that I didn't get caught up on. Maybe I'll do that today. I'll watch a little Louisville, see what we got going on. Good morning to Richard Jankowski. Richard, he says, I agree. There needs to be a height minimum requirement here in Pittsburgh. Yeah, right. You got to be a certain height to get on a roller coaster. Why don't you got to be a certain height to be a professional athlete, a quarterback? Jeffrey Fried, what's up, brother? Good morning. Good morning to you. He says, afternoon, Yins. Always great to see you on the board. Let me move up here a little bit. Yinzer Joe, Roger Murray, you're right, but the lack of QB play is irrelevant by the organization standards. They'll just tell him to do better, step up, and earn a bigger contract. And let's see, Tortilla says he'll be the next Purdy, maybe, depending on who falls. We need another quarterback with a porn star name. That's right. That's right. But
that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking. Porn star name for a quarterback, baby.
Colt McCoy. Oh God, Pete.
Oh, Colt McCoy. There's a guy
who he says.
Colt McCoy had the life as an NFL backup. My man was living large, making money. Cole Trickle. I can just go listen off weird names all day long. The next half hour. Let's do it, boys.
Buck Naked. We'll take him if he's available. Guys, but you always are talking about the organization, about a couple comments ago, I believe it was Yinzer Joe. Hey, what's up, Double O? Good morning to you. I do want to, I'm touching on Jalen next. It's going to actually be the very next thing I'm going to talk about, Mike. But here, talking about the organization momentarily, Dan Rooney passed in 2017, and that's when the playoff streak ended. I mean, we haven't won a game since Dan Rooney died. He died in 2017. They haven't won a playoff game since. What's that, Derpy?
That's crazy. That's a wild stat.
That is crazy.
They need to do a fucking seance and bring his ass back to life or some shit.
Well, guys, Mike, you might want to consider this. Draft picks from the 2018 season. Now, he died in 2017. Terrell Edmonds, Devin Bush, the trade year. We got Minka, Najee, and Kenny Pickett. I mean, you're now looking back on this team where none of these guys are on the Steelers. So, I mean, I think it's a little bit of everything. I think it is organizational. I think it is coaches. I think it is the players. I think that, we said this, Mike, from day one. There needs to be some changes that goes on this football team.
Yeah.
So we're going to let them go ahead and do what it is that they do for the next year or so and see how we turn out. If it's 10-7 and we get knocked out of the playoffs, or who knows what it's going to be, then we'll be able to base it off of that. But Mike, that's what we basically. That's what's going on here. They're not drafting. They're not doing anything good. The Steelers are not doing anything exceptionally well.
Yeah. The Colbert's latter half of his career from that Terrell Edmonds draft, which I contend if Terrell Edmonds was a second-round pick, was a great pick. Najee, if he was a second-round pick, great pick. But they were picked around. And
if he's a fourth or fifth or sixth or seventh,
pick. Yeah,
they pick Kenny Pickett number one. You see what I'm saying? That's where we're at.
I think it was a third-round pick. Good pick. We missed out on Creed Humphreys and Trent McDuffie in the Najee Harris draft. I think it was, and those two won 2 Super Bowls. Key guys to 2 Super Bowls in Kansas City that we could have, but we took Najee Harris and Pat Freiermuth. It's like frustrating, but yeah, Kevin Colbert's last couple drafts.
I like that draft. I got to be honest.
From Terrell Edmonds to Kenny Pickett, those draft classes set us back
a solid running back in the NFL. The other guy is a solid tight end in the NFL. That's I hated the least. Again, I mean, Mike, Kenny Pickett, a hometown favorite. They didn't have to take this Kenny Pickett as their number 1 pick that year. That's crazy to me. The fact that now looking back, how did they get to the mindset where they thought Kenny Pickett was the best pick that we should have had that year? Again, me as a Pitt fan, I love the idea. I lobbied for it, as a lot of people in Pitt did. But the fact that this organization went that route, took Kenny Pickett, come on. There's not a lot of great things going on right now. And who's going to be the one to bring it all back together? I don't know, but something's got to give, Mike.
Yeah. And not to be like, I didn't like the Kenny Pickett pick when it happened, but not to defend their thought process. When you look at the way he was playing that year, he was playing lights out. He had a great pro day, had a great combine and you were thinking, okay, mapping out the potential, but it's like they kind of ignored the first half of his Pitt career, which wasn't that great. He had that season that he had was one of the best seasons I've seen from a college quarterback. He just wasn't able to keep that magic running. He had a magical senior year.
Can you imagine if he had Jordan Addison?
We see it.
Yeah.
I would have loved Jordan Addison.
Yeah. It was just like he's just one of those guys that you see a lot have a great final year in college, and people just gravitate towards that tape, and and the professionals do it too, man. GMs and scouts they'll just look at that last year, not look at the whole body sometimes. They should know better. We as fans, we're allowed to get enamored with that one good year. They should know better.
All right, let me get to some messages here, Mike. 007 says, what do you guys think about the Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe? My thoughts on Jalen Milroe is he's a smokescreen. I honestly do. Of course, he came here. He got wined and dined by the Pittsburgh Steelers 2 nights ago. They really liked him and blah 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 blah. I honestly think it's a smoke. So I think they know who they want. I think that the league knows who they want, and I think this is something to kind of smoke screen the rest of the league, possibly heading into the draft. Again, guys, we're just a little over a month away here. Me personally, I like Jalen Milroe. I watched a little tape on him last night. The guy could do a lot, and I think Mike and I were talking before the show, or maybe when the show started, I can't recall. But the guy has mad talent. If he continues to improve, Jalen Milroe could be a really good quarterback. But these quarterbacks like Milroe, they're a dime a dozen right now. They're coming out of the college, and you got to kind of pick and choose who you think is going to be the best, who could actually play quarterback, or who's just athletic. You know what I mean? And that could kind of set you back too. If you're just athletic, you got to be a smart guy to play quarterback. You really do. There's a lot to know. But I personally, I think that he's a screen. I think he's a smoke screen, Mike. And I think they know who they want. I don't think that it's Jalen Milroe, but you know what? I don't have a problem with him, again, from what I've seen. And if he would improve to be that player that you would be, you know what? I don't have a problem with him. But as I said, Mike, there's probably about a handful of these quarterbacks, these talented athletic quarterbacks that come out every year. You're looking at Cam Ward and Miami this year. I mean, every year you get a handful of them. Who's going to stick and who's not? That's becoming part of the part of the problem is figuring out who the guy is going to be that's going to be good with those attributes, opposed to the guys that aren't. You still have to be able to play in the NFL.
Yeah, like with Milrow, he would have been better served by going back for another year of college somewhere outside of Alabama, to where kind of like Corey Beaver says, like Alabama quarterbacks are not pro-ready quarterbacks. They're not, and he would have been better served going to a program that has a track.
Hey, Joe Namath won a Super Bowl, baby.
Yeah, well, that was under Bear Bryant back in the day, but like this. Yeah, he would have been better served going to somewhere else to refine his game, because you can see he can do what needs to be done at the quarterback level, but his mechanics are very, very sloppy, and they need cleaned up.
He doesn't have a clutch gene either.
Yeah, and like I think another year in college would have helped him.
You got to have the clutch gene.
It would have been so much better. He should have got out of Alabama, go somewhere else in the portal. Who cares if it was a lower program, but that has a track record of developing quarterbacks? That's where I want to went.
All right, Mark Malone says, dude got KO'd by James Harrison. He goes on to say it's the curse of Dan Rooney. Then he goes on to say nearly as bad as the curse of Dick Shiner. That's very true. Pieces everyone mourns differently. Roger says took Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky. Gee, I mean, we're really doing some smart stuff here in Pittsburgh. We need that to change. Tortilla says we signed Canada at OC, signed the money Mitch at QB1, and drafted Kenny. Someone doesn't know football in the front office. They listed all year, and he was the only real quarterback we had. Tortilla goes on to say Milrow is Malik Willis on steroids. You know what? That's a very good comparison. I like that, actually.
That's what I was about to say.
Corey Beaver says Corey Beaver says, I worry about Alabama quarterbacks. I don't think they're pro-ready and we don't develop, which Mike just touched on. Mark Malone, a lot of this is just mental reaction, time to what you're seeing in the moment. Yeah, absolutely. But you got to remember, too, it's also the highest level of American football. You know what I mean? If you can't get to that level alone, you have to be, have that going for you as well, along with all the other things. Mark goes on to say Milrow's a bust, Ward's a bust, Sanders is a bust. Move up a little here. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Shedeur Sanders. I'm not saying he's not good. I'm not saying he's not talented, but at the end of the day, not a big fan. Hold on, my board got messed up.
Yeah. No, I think Sanders, if he goes to the right situation, will be a good quarterback. He's an accurate quarterback. He's not afraid to sit back there and move around in the pocket to find guys. My big complaint about him is he drops back too far. I was watching some tape of him. He goes too far back when he feels pressure, instead of stepping up into the pocket, or he'll drop back and run left or right, and you've already beaten your tackle depth. He needs to work on that. But the kid can make all the throws. Kid's an accurate quarterback. He's a good football player. He's not overly athletic. He's not going to, remind you of Josh Allen. He's not going to remind you of Lamar Jackson back there. He's not that fast. He's faster than Byron Leftwich. He's probably like in the Big Ben mold of scrambling. Would do enough for what you need. I think
he's a bad quarterback. Mike, I think a Subway sandwich is faster than Byron Leftwich, but that's just
Byron Leftwich. It was so much fun to watch him run. But I don't think Sanders is going to be a great quarterback. I think he'll be, like a top 20 type quarterback. But these guys are going to go into some.
I just think his dad had so much to do with his career. Mike, I don't like guys that have their daddy helping them, and he just done so much for his son. I don't like to see that in college. I want to see a kid that goes out and shows that he could turn into a man and take this $1 million career. I don't like when daddy's involved like that. It happens in high school. It happens when you're a kid. You see it. I don't like it then. I don't like it now. Wherever they end out, I think that Dion is going to be there. He's going to be a pain in the ass. Again, if he's not good for him, at the end of the day, I've just never been a fan of that situation.
Is Dion. Like Shedeur and Travis Hunter need to get just out of his shadow. Don't let him hover over you. You just go, like you said, gotta go be your own man. But
and that's such an unknown. You don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, no, I think Shedeur. I think he'll be a fine quarterback, but not a franchise quarterback. Cam Ward has the best shot of being, being a franchise quarterback with the talent and the attributes that he has.
I mean, the teams he's going to go to are
Pieces
just.
two would be a great hit if he. Pieces two would be great if he could take a hit, which is I don't know how
Right.
many more hits that guy has in him. I'm going to be honest.
Oh, I feel bad for that dude.
I'm worried
hang
for
it
the
up.
guy. Mark goes on to say there's no first round quarterbacks this year. You know what? I agree. Ultimately, I agree, but there are going to be guys taken. I mean, you know who they are. There's three that I think are going to definitely go in the first round, but we will see. Mark Malone says unless you're in Cleveland, goes on and says I would use to get to get it. Let me see what this is. To get a guy that shows arm strength and decision making skills that needs a little bit of coaching. We don't need flashy. We need competent. Yeah, we do need competent here. Justin, good morning. Good morning to you. He says Dart or Howard. I'm sticking with it. I'm a Dart guy. I'm right there with you on that one for sure. Yinzer says if we don't get Dart or Show, we're doomed. So I mean, the Dart seems to be like the common denominator with a lot of people, but you're starting to see a lot of those other names as well, saying, well, maybe the Show, maybe Howard, maybe the list goes on. Tortilla says Show in the third would be a perfect fit behind Rudy. Ewers the fourth, Howard in the fifth. All of those are great picks. Mark Malone says he's a short man. P. Morton says the Mannings. Got Arch coming up next year, guys. Could be something you might want to keep your eye open for. Why does this keep happening to me on this board?
You're good.
Here?
You're good. You're
all
back
right
now. You're bored.
Yeah, and on the board, it just keeps, you know what I mean? It keeps going all the way down when I'm trying to read something. Where we at? Here we go, Mike. I know where I'm at now.
Okay.
Tortilla says Dart is going early, second most likely. I think you're right. I think so. I hope it's at the 21st and the first, but that's just me. User Joe says Sanders in the NFL is like LeBron in the NBA. Daddy's getting them a job, then they fail. Justin Arrington says if Hampton or Genty drops to us, take him first. They may have to trade back up into the second to get Howard, maybe a third rounder. Not sure where his projection is. Mark Malone says dude's going to be a bust. I got to try to move down here. Just any messages. Tortilla says apparently Arch is being pressured to enter in the draft in 27. Yeah. Oh, I thought you were replying to that, Mike. And then also Tortilla says if Sanders falls and we draft him, it's almost certain Dion will be the next head coach. I don't know what I would do, but it wouldn't be good if Deion Sanders ends up being the next head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'd be facing some serious life decisions. I'm going to be honest with you. Mark Malone says I'm not sure. I'd rather have Show Howard over Dart.
Ugh.
But though you're still seeing. I mean, it's the same group of names. I don't think that any of these guys are great. Great first round quarterbacks. To be honest, there are going to be a handful of guys that do go in the first round. It seems like right off the top, the teams at the top need them the most. After that, a lot of guys are looking at positions they need, which could play to our advantage if we are in fact serious and focused in on Jackson Dart. So I think that could go either way, Mike. But again, I think that's why they're also playing the free agency field the way that they are. They're able to work on a lot of depth. That way, as you said, you can't really go wrong when it comes time for the draft.
No, just keep building your team and then eventually find the quarterback. Like Pittsburgh doesn't have to reach right now to find a quarterback. It just, there's if you think next year's crop is better than this year's, don't draft anyone this year. Ride Rudy. Rudy signed a 2-year deal. You have him for this year, you have him for next year too, to be your a bridge quarterback. It's okay to have a bridge quarterback start for 2 years until you find your guy. I haven't even looked into who's free agent quarterbacks going into next year anyway. So there's a lot of options, and quarterbacks get overdrafted because it's the most important position. That's why a lot of these guys that should be taken in the second round are getting picked in the first. So if you think one of these is your guys, go get them. I might not like who we go get, but if it's someone that if they think it's their guy, go get them and ride it out and see what happens. That's like you
That's
can't
my
really
take
fault
too,
them for
Mike.
the Kenny Pickett. I didn't like the Kenny Pickett pick. It didn't work out for them, and they moved on. There's nothing wrong with that. Sam Frame did it too with Trey Lance. They traded 3 first-round picks for him. They're like, shit, man, this ain't working out. Let's get rid of him. We fell into a Brock Purdy. Screw it. Let's run it back with him. So just don't be
I'm a firm
afraid.
believer. If you want something, you go get it. Go get it.
Yep.
If you want it,
And
you
if
go
it works,
get
it
it. They could
works.
go get it. If you want Jackson Dart, use some of your picks, make some trades, move up.
Yeah.
If you want it bad enough, go get it.
Yeah.
Mark Malone says, no, I'd wait till the 3rd or 4th. Tortilla Jackson says, just draft a quarterback every round, then teams will have to prepare for 7 quarterbacks a game. That's that's an interesting theory, and I think that the Bengals might be the first team to pull something like that. Again, the way they're building that team over there, you have 3 guys of amazing talent and 19 other 18 other guys that are starters that aren't quite as good.
Look,
I got the mock draft already. This is my Mark Malone mock draft.
And as I said, Mike, the way that Cincinnati keeps doing this, they just have no defense. I love that. I think the Steelers are going to have pretty good success against the Bengals and the Browns in the next few years. Just the way they handled some of their moves and what they're doing. But they like the flashy style in Cincinnati, I guess. Kind of mind blowing. Again, this is a team that never figured out how to win a championship in this league either. So that tells you something.
They can win with that offense that they have, but of their skill position players, but they have to hit every draft pick on the line, on their offensive line and in their defense. They cannot have a single miss anywhere in their drafts. And I don't know if they have the front office to do that. Like that's, Kansas City was lucky. They were building that defense with a lot of draft picks that hit on rookie contracts. Can Cincy do it? Probably not.
Tortilla said Milroe could play running back as well. Yinzer Joe says no, the Steelers need to draft a quarterback every year from now on. This is the only way to get out of quarterback purgatory. As crazy as it sounds, it's not that crazy, actually. Corey Beavers, wide receiver in the 1st, running back in the 3rd, and then quarterback and swing tackle and defensive tackle seems to be the path they're working toward. I could see Amika, I could see Scadaboo, Ewers, and whoever's available at tackle and defensive tackle after that in any order. I'd never draft Sanders, Mark Malone says. I agree. I wouldn't either. Mike, go ahead and finish up your thoughts on this. More Steelers lines, but we do have to get caught up because we're moving right along. This show's flying today.
Flying. Kind of like Corey Beavers, receiver round 1, then running back round 3. I would be opposed to trading down in round 1 from the mid-20s into high 20s down to low 20s, maybe even down pick 30 if that gets us a second-round pick. Like I would do that because you can still get a first-round talent at wide receiver, get your running back in round 2, and get a better defensive tackle in round 3, or get a good D tackle in round 3, and you still got third-round running backs there that should be able to start for you. Like I really think that the Steelers should trade back. If Jackson, if they want a quarterback and he's not there, just trade back in the draft, get more picks this year.
Mike, can we just go back to the days from 2001 to 2007 where our draft picks looked like this in the 1st round? Casey Hampton, Kendall Simmons, Troy Polamalu, Ben Roethlisberger, Heath Miller, Antonio Brown, and Lawrence Timmons. Can we just go back to these days for a couple years? I mean, come on. We hit on every single 1st-round draft pick in that particular time. Like every one. Not one of those guys wasn't around for a while. Not one of those guys didn't make a big impact on this team. Mike, can we just have a few drafts like this? Would be nice.
Hopefully we can. Hopefully. I'm hoping. Because those were
touch on this one
killer
real quick,
drafts.
because we did get heavy on Aaron Rodgers early in the week. I'm not trying to do that today. Just a couple things. The comment that Cam made on Tuesday. He says, I ain't doing none of that. I ain't doing none of that retreat. I don't need any of that crap. Either you want to be a Steeler or you don't. You know what? People have multiple different opinions on this. I feel the same way. I just feel that he's being a pain in the ass. I don't know if he's even doing it on purpose. I think that he's just a pain in the ass of kind of. But that's where I'm at on that, Mike. Cam, and who knows who else in the NFL feels like that? Teams around the league could also have that same feeling because, again, loyalty means something to these guys in the locker room, and this guy's going to be separated from Rudy. He's going to kind of be isolated. He's going to come in and he's going to do Aaron Rodgers things. And again, I don't know how good that is for the locker room, Mike, but that's kind of and also the news come out on Tuesday that the Vikings and Rodgers is a no-go. So at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers could very well, where I thought that he was probably going to go to Minnesota just because of how it benefited him with the experienced team, 15-2 last year, a plethora of weapons at the wide receiver position, a line that blocked in a team that made Sam Darnold look like a superstar. I thought this is hook, line, and sinker perfect for somebody like Aaron Rodgers, but apparently that is a no-go. No Vikings and Aaron Rodgers, guys. So the saga continues.
Yeah, no Aaron Rodgers. I think an ayahuasca retreat would do Cam Hayward well, though. Maybe it will open up his mind to like realize that games still get played in the playoffs, and you got to show up for those too.
I think an ayahuasca would be retreat would be great for me. I don't care what Cam Hayward does. I'm going to be honest, Mike. But let's talk about some other news around the league.
Yeah,
Jameis Winston met with the New York Giants on Tuesday, so they are also, kind of got your back against the wall in a way. You got to, you want to kind of know what this guy's doing, so you know what you're doing. And so they bring in Jameis Winston. And here's the other one. Here's the other story, Mike. Ready? How much do you want to bet? Over in Indianapolis, now they have who? Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson.
Yeah. Oof.
How long is it for whoever ends up being the starter, whether it be Danny Dimes or Richardson? How long before they get pulled and the other guy gets pulled in Indianapolis?
Oh, 4 games. 4 games. Anthony Richardson's going to get himself hurt. He's going to go running full speed instead of stepping out of bounds. He's going to lower his shoulder.
No way that either one of these quarterbacks are going to make it all season. Mike, I put money on it. There's no way.
Then Danny Dimes will go in, throw so many picks in a 4-game window. They're going to cart out Anthony Richardson out there with like a broken leg and make him play quarterback. Or they're going to go scrape up the corpse of Joe Flacco again and make him play. It's going to be God, and the funny thing is, like, those 2 quarterbacks have a shit ton of talent. They just can't get it. They just can't get it together. Those 2. It's it's a quarterback graveyard up there.
Yeah.
Jones filling upward Darnold style.
All right. Yeah. No, I'm getting. Yeah, Derpy.
Yeah.
Thanks for the heads up on that, my friend.
See you, Derp.
Mike, but a couple other things here real quick. We were talking about all the money spent and being paid out to Chase and Higgins over in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Get this. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith make $100 million less than Chase and Higgins in Cincinnati. 2 of them are winning Super Bowls, playing in Super Bowls every other year. The other 2, the team hasn't made playoffs in how many times in the past 30 years.
Yeah.
Mike, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith for Philadelphia makes $100 million less than Chase and Higgins for Cincinnati.
That is crazy. And because I'm pulling up their contracts now. They're not due. The first one due is Devontae in 2028. That's when his contract ends, I believe. So, my God, they got that team locked up over in Philly. And, Saquon just got his contract reworked as well. Like, whatever they're doing with the salary cap over in Philly, it's some voodoo magic that they got going on. It's crazy.
It really is, guys. Also, Mike, we got word the other day. It'd be what for Kirk Cousins? A 3rd round is what they're looking for Kirk Cousins. No, I mean, there's a couple people that say that they're into that, but again, I don't know. I don't know. Kirk Cousins just never works out. He puts up good numbers. It just doesn't work with him. I don't get it. And
No.
finally, Mike, this one here in the draft next year in 2026 in Pittsburgh, it is looking like it's going to be held, a majority of it over in Point State Park, and then you'll be able to go across the bridge right to the north side to where the stadium is. So, I mean, I guess if you utilize all of Pittsburgh in this, in that capacity,
Yeah.
go across the bridges, use downtown, use the north side. Maybe I think then it's probably going to work, but there's going to be a lot of people, Mike. As a matter of fact, you have Ron Navy staying with you. I know that you've committed earlier this week. Ron Navy will be staying at Mike, and you know what? I'm never going to let that one go. You and Ron Navy are bunking it next year. But let me get back to the board here, guys. P says, honestly, Sanders probably appreciates that. You know what? That's the thing. I just don't. He's going to go where he's appreciated, hopefully, and hopefully he does well and has a great career. But I don't want it to be here. I don't know. It's a Dion thing for me. It's kind of shallow, but it is.
It's not the kid, it's the dad.
Yeah. Quarterback is the most important position. Trent Dilfer has entered the chat. A lot of mocks lately have who is this, Mike?
Ted McMillan from Arizona. The wide receiver.
Okay. A lot of them
Yeah.
have him falling to around 2022. Should Burden or Amika be if they're so? You know what? It's so hard to say who they're going to take at their number one now. It really is hard, Mike. It just maybe depends who's available. But they,
and it's
a lot of
funny,
good
like
players.
in the draft, especially in the top end, once a run of a certain position starts happening, teams panic and throw their plan out the window, start drafting in that position because they want that guy, or a team trades up and panics. So that's why it's so unpredictable what's going to happen in the draft. But I can see it happen, like a run of D tackles happen. Next thing you know, your receivers start dropping, or a run of receivers start happening, then your top D tackles start falling.
Mark Malone says Neil O'Donnell may show up. You never know. Neil O'Donnell might show up right here on the show.
Nice, right?
Haven't seen him for a while. Corey Beavers says, he's talking to Yinzer Joe. He says, I would guarantee anything I would guarantee anything with this team. If we did anything logical when we were supposed to, then we'd already have our franchise quarterback, and this conversation would be non-existent. Yinzer Joe comes and he says Rodgers was interested in Minnesota, but the feeling wasn't mutual. LOL. They really like their rookie quarterback, and I think at some point you have to kind of give that kid his shot.
Exactly,
I mean,
you have to. You
got hurt last year, right? Yeah. And get in while getting's good, because I mean, look what Sam Darnold was able to do. Maybe JJ McCarthy will be able to come out and be pretty successful as well with the situation around him.
It's better to find out early if you made a mistake or not, and then that way you can start to correct the mistake. And they're not listening to trade offers for him either. Minnesota came out and said we're not trading him.
Yeah, it's a no-go. P says Jones falling upward, Darnold style. Yeah. Tortilla. Rodgers going to get pulled in training camp. I'm so concerned about him. There's just something about like Rodgers. I think we're
talking about Anthony Richardson.
Oh, Richardson.
Oh, yeah, Anthony Richardson. He might. Oh, God. Oh, he's another kid who should have stayed in college for another year. Work on your game. Because he has talent, man. He can process the information. He can do everything. He's just another one of those cats that's inconsistent.
My thing about Aaron Rodgers, I'm just what happens if he goes somewhere and he's not happy and people really get on him? Has he ever really been booed the way that Pittsburgh fans boo people when they don't like you? I don't know. I don't know if he has. I mean, he played in New York, but it's not the same environment as far as football games. But what happens if he gets out there, throws a couple interceptions, and he thinks everyone hates him? I mean, he's a
he might play better as the villain. He might be better as the villain.
He's just such a wild card. You don't know. You don't know what you're going to get on that. On the Kirk Cousins playbook piece says Yinzer Joseph's Corey Beavers, the Steelers actually weren't going to even draft Big Ben. That was Rooney's call. They just don't draft QBs well. Corners are a problem too. You know what? That's so true about Ben. I wanted either Eli Manning or Phillip Rivers. I never heard of this cheeseburger guy. You know what I mean? You want one of the two established guys.
Bill Cowher wanted the offensive lineman from that draft.
Yeah. He says Cousins is gonna earn $500 million in salary for straight mediocrity before. You know what? Whatever he's done wrong and right, the one right thing he did was found the right agent in the NFL, because that guy is making Jerry Seinfeld freaking money. And it's unbelievable because, again, the guy is literally his teams have never done anything.
No,
They've never done anything.
He's living the American dream. Just mediocre, and making all that money. He's a hero.
Yeah. Mike, we do got to move along a little bit here. Of course, today, the actual starting of the NCAA tournament does kick off. We did have the play-in games, the first 4 games over the past couple days, Mike. On Tuesday, it played out like this. Alabama State knocks out St. Francis 70-68. St. Francis, obviously, one of the 2 teams from Pennsylvania. None of them are Pitt or Penn State, which is weird that St. Francis and Robert Morris is now representing the Commonwealth. But Mike, Alabama State did beat St. Francis 70-68 for the 16th seed, and North Carolina blows out San Diego State for the 11th seed. They beat them 95-68. Yesterday, St. Mary's they beat American University 83-72 for that 16th seed, and then Xavier beat Texas 86-80 in a really good game for the 11th seed. Sean Miller, of course, the coach for Xavier from right up the road at Blackhawk High School, a big, well-known basketball family here in our valley, the Millers. Watch Sean. Hopefully, maybe he can take this Xavier team on a nice run this year, Mike. But also in that, we do have the games starting today. They start here in probably like I think a couple minutes, actually. I think there's 16 games today. They're starting at 12:15 all the way up until 10:10 tonight. You can catch the first 16 games. The next 16 games will be played tomorrow. That will cut the field down a half. But, Mike, if you want to catch Robert Morris, as we just mentioned, from right up here in Moon Township, they will be facing Alabama tomorrow at 12:40. You can catch them. But from right now, I mean, it's starting right now, 12:15. Till the end of the championship. I mean, it's going to be so rapid. It's blink your eyes, Mike. Believe me, it's going to be over before you know it.
Blink it, it's gone.
It's going to be gone. So it starts today. The big part of it, again, they did play the first 4 in over the past couple of days. Those teams will be eliminated by the end of the weekend. I would guess on that, Mike. But the big tournament. Did you get your bracket filled out yet? Or are you still dragging your ass like me?
I didn't fill out a bracket. I just, on the show, I just picked Duke to win it all, and I just found out, Cooper Flagg's hurt.
Yeah.
So, great pick, Mike. Woohoo!
You did. You got on the show. We all took a number 1 draft, or our number 1 seed. I got Houston. You got Duke. Derpy got Auburn, and Fitch got Florida. So we'll be keeping an eye on all those teams for sure. Over into the baseball world, Mike, the Pittsburgh Pirates, they where they at? They lose yesterday. They lost to the Tampa Bay Rays 5-2. They're off today. Big news, though, on one of our starting pitchers, Mike, Jared Jones. Jared Jones to miss his next start due to elbow issues, which is kind of worrisome because that was his problem last year, was the elbow, Mike. So kind of a concern if you're following the Buccos, who do start in just 7 days is the opener. But Jared Jones is the big topic, Mike.
I don't like that at all. That's our guy. I thought I think he's would be the legit number 2 in the rotation. He's a bulldog, just like Paul Skeens, and then Keller at 3. Bucco season hasn't even officially started yet, and I'm already getting heart palpitations.
Mike, they'll be back at it tomorrow. Again, they are off today. They play Boston tomorrow at 6:05, down to the last week of the Grapefruit League. They'll be back in regular season form at the end of next week. A lot of things going on next week, Mike, including the start of the UFL. The USFL and the XFL combined to make the UFL next Friday, a week from tomorrow. The XFL or the USFL starts, guys. You could watch spring football in just a week from tomorrow. So we got that going for us as well, Mike. Following this up with the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Penguins, they drop a game the other night. Their winning streak got broke at 4. The Penguins lose 4-2 to the Islanders. Sidney Crosby did pass Wayne Gretzky, though, for 4th all-time scoring for one team. Only 3 guys ahead of him, Mike. 3 guys in the whole entire world history of hockey has done what
Yep.
Crosby's done, scoring past Wayne Gretzky for 4th all-time scoring with one team. Mike, also the Penguins, they're joining the Steelers by playing in Europe next year. As the Steelers are playing
Yes.
in Ireland, the Penguins are also going to, what are they, Sweden? The
Sweden, baby.
global series. They'll play 2 games against the Nashville Predators in Sweden next year. So if you like Pittsburgh teams and you take trips to Europe or plan on it next year, your Steelers and your Penguins will be in Europe, in Ireland, and Sweden. Also, Mike, the Penguins, they drop. They dropped to 28-32-10 again as they blew a 2-goal lead against the Islanders the other day to have their streak broken. They'll be back at it Friday, tomorrow, to take on the Columbus Blue Jackets. That's at Pittsburgh. Start time at 7 p.m. The highlight from that Penguin game for me, Mike, was the hot dog night. They were, I think it was like free hot dogs. Did you see, like, they kept putting a counter up there to show how many hot dogs they've eaten? That's what I like. I like hot dog nights. I like food nights.
Yeah. Screw Sidney Crosby, showing why he's one of the greatest athletes of all times. Give me the hot dogs.
That's what I'm saying. Also,
that's
Mike,
simple entertainment right there, baby. I'm right there with you.
And one other note about Skeens, Mike, as we said the other day, he is going to be the opening day starter. No surprise there, Mike.
No
but
surprise.
He is the youngest opening day starter in the majors since 2014.
Wow.
11 years since they've had somebody as young as Mr. Skeens starting the way. So, but again, I'm starting to get discouraged getting this Jared Jones news. But
that's not
looking
good.
forward to Skeens for sure.
Yeah, when I hear the words elbow in second opinion, I worry.
Yeah, I do too. Let me get one more thing here, and then we will get back to the sport. I do apologize. I did see something I wanted to cover here. Oh, yeah. Mike, real quick about the Steelers. Did that Kyle Juszczyk, did he go back to the 49ers?
Yeah.
Okay. I seen that we offered him more money, and he went back to them. What's the purpose? He just wanted to test the market out, maybe?
Yeah, he wanted to test the market, see what else was out there. He never wanted to leave San Francisco, so hey, show them that, hey, I'm willing to go elsewhere. Other people want me, and use someone else as a bargaining chip. Is what it is. Smart move by his part.
And also, former Pitt kicker Ben Sauls was the only kicker to visit the team the other day for a pre-draft visit. Ben Sauls is going to make somebody very happy. Believe me, he's a southpaw. He's a kicker. The guy was kicking from 60 yards a lot of the season and making really, really good, possibly the best kicker coming out of college this year. Ben Sauls, we got a guy. But again, if you're a team needing the kicker, this is somebody that you probably want to keep your eye on. Mike, let's jump back on the board. I don't want to leave anybody out here. Let's see. Right here. Corey Beaver Steelers are actually okay. I'm going to go right here. P says, cousin. Okay, there we go. P. Rogers basically rehabbed in New York more than anything.
Right? Didn't help him. He put up some good numbers. Didn't help him win anything. But got that rehab going. Get that next big contract.
Offensive tackle Sean Andrews was Cowher's pick instead of Ben. Could you imagine if we'd never got Ben? Could you imagine?
Oh.
We'd still be looking for Super Bowl number 5, the one for the thumb. Could you imagine?
Yeah. Oh God.
Like the Cowboys. You know what I mean? We would be like that. They haven't. They did. Unbelievable what's going on in Dallas. I love it. But,
hey man, it's their year, man. Them boys, it's their year.
That boys, it's always their year. Corey, Yinzer. Okay, to Joe by that logic, then maybe we let Khan pick the QB in the first instead of wide receivers and let that genius work his magic. We do need some genius work. No two ways about that. Sun Tzu, the draft. I like it. P says. Also, Tortilla says that's where we're getting our QB1, the XFL.
Hell yeah, baby!
Which comes it comes to something funny that I do have, but I don't know if we're gonna have the time to go over. But just kind of keep that in mind. Quarterbacks in the XFL, UFL, things like this. In case I do have time, like I will come back to that. But I do have something interesting about these quarterbacks coming from the spring league. P says Sweden for the Penguins makes so much more sense than Steelers to Ireland. Not gonna lie. Tortilla says, who needs a franchise quarterback when you could get a French one?
Back there smoking cigarettes. Ugh, life is meaningless.
Oui, oui. Corey says, P, how does that make more sense? The Rooneys are Irish. That makes all the sense. True. P says they play hockey in Sweden. That's the point he was
Both
making.
sound logic.
Hockey is a Sweden. Sweden is a hockey country. And he says, duh, of course, right? Guys, so I do believe we are caught up on the board, Mike. Correct? Okay, so let me get this out. Did anybody see? We got a little bit of time here. Did anybody see this chart that came out? That was made by GPT, and it predicted the next 50 Super Bowl winners. Did anybody see this?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
All right, so bear with me then. Chat GPT. Somebody asked to predict the next 50 Super Bowl winners and the results. Guys, this year they have just bear with me. This year they have San Fran, and then the Bengals, and then the Bills, then the Lions, then the Ravens. They actually do have the Steelers in 2043 winning the Super Bowl. But guys, what I find most intriguing and most interesting about this, starting in 2037, they have there's a team in there called the Aztecs, the Birmingham Stallions, Micah, who is a UFL team, of course, who has been pretty successful. But it's just odd because Chat GPT picked these teams, Mike, and I'm seeing another team called the Monarchs eventually.
They ran through like a Madden simulation because like the Monarchs are one of the team names that you can pick when you move a franchise.
Well, let's keep looking because I understand that, but let's see if there's any more that's like that. Because for 2043, they have us winning the Super Bowl. In 2044, Mike, they have a team called the Defenders winning it. And in the year before us, a team called the Aztecs.
Yep.
So is that a team on Madden? Because if that's what it is, that's what they did.
I think so. Yeah. If I remember correctly, because moving some of the teams, I think that those are some of the pre-generated names. Defenders. I don't think Aztec was, but Defenders and Monarchs definitely are.
Mike, the Stallions, which we do know from the UFL, they're going to win the Super Bowl in 2072, according to ChatGPT. It's just odd that folks. But it's odd that ChatGPT did that, though. You know what I mean? That it went outside the box when asked which NFL be predicting the Super Bowl for the next 50 years. About a fifth of them are teams that aren't even NFL teams at this moment. So it was just interesting. And as somebody as we mentioned the UFL, and somebody had said something about our next quarterback is going to be there. Who knows? Those teams may be in the NFL eventually. But then they might be, Mike. Who knows what 10 years brings? Maybe that league does really great and they decide to expand the NFL. It's totally not out of the question. But I thought it was interesting. I wanted to make sure I got to read that.
Yeah.
Mike, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody about the website?
The2dumyinzers.com. Check it out, everyone. We got the merch store over there. We got the links over there. We got the blog over there. What's this week's? We got the mock draft. Big mock draft over there. Huge, bigly, awesome, great, epic, fantastic. Might be the most accurate Steeler mock draft out there. Let's check it out at the2dumyinzers.com.
Go check it out, everybody. A lot of cool stuff over there.
I can't even remember who I picked.
Go check out www.the2dumyinzers.com. That's www.the2dumyinzers.com. Let me get this real quick, Mike, on this board. Corey says, I don't watch hockey like that, but the Irish own team playing in Ireland. It just seems like, you know what? It's going to be fun. Who cares? Let's enjoy them all. It gives the Pittsburgh teams an opportunity to get out there and let the world see what we got. Tortilla, I saw the NBA chart, and they said that the Kings will win the finals in 2084. So I'll be dead. Light the beam. I mean, again, those things are goofy because, you know, who knows what ChatGPT is doing, but nonetheless, good morning, good afternoon, Jen on the board. So, guys, I had another meeting. I will go back and watch. Have a fantastic day. Likewise to you, Jen.
Thanks, Jen.
And P says, does Art Rooney have an Irish passport? Good question. Guys, let's get to this question of the day. Mike, this is a Pittsburgh sports question.
Yes.
Which could pertain to a lot of different things. So it's not just the Steelers today. It's not just this question is a Pittsburgh sports question. Mike, put on your thinking caps. Everybody on the board, everybody at home. Here we go is the question of the day. Mike, get ready.
I'm ready.
From 1990 to 1993, Pittsburgh had a professional lacrosse team. Can you name that team? They played at Civic Arena.
Yes,
From 1990 to 1993, Pittsburgh had a professional lacrosse team. Can you name the team name? Take a minute to think that over. We're live 5 days a week right here, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on YouTube. Mike is thinking hard. Well, it's not the Pittsburgh Piranhas, the CBA team that was here in 96.
That was going to be my guess.
No, it's not them. It's not the Piranhas. Who else? Somebody else. Oh, Mike, it's not the Pittsburgh Power. Remember, the Power was the arena football team. A couple teams that played at the Civic Arena. It's not the Power. It's not the Piranhas. But, Mike, I need to know who was the lacrosse team in the early 90s?
God damn.
What's your thought process? Talk it out. Maybe it'll help you.
I don't have a thought process. The Piranhas popped into my head because I remembered that name.
You thought it was the Piranhas?
I thought it was the Piranhas.
Interesting about the Piranhas, they went to the championship the one and only year when they played in Pittsburgh, the CBA team. They got swept. They did get swept in the championship, but they did go to the championship. Mike, from 1990 to 1993, Pittsburgh had a professional lacrosse team. Can you name the team? The Pittsburgh Swamp Rabbits, Tortilla says.
I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh River Rats.
The Pittsburgh River Rats. Is that your final answer?
Rats. Yes.
I like that. I think it's a cool name for a Pittsburgh team. Mike, I'm going to put you in, lock you in on that. Is your final answer? One more time, guys, from 1990 to 1993, Pittsburgh had a professional lacrosse team. Can you name this team? Mike says the Pittsburgh River Rats. Tortilla says the Pittsburgh Swamp Rabbits, which I like too. But, guys, the correct answer for the question of the day, from 1990 to 1993, Pittsburgh had a professional lacrosse team. Can you name them? I know there's somebody listening right now yelling at their phone. The answer, guys, of course, the answer was they were the Pittsburgh Bulls. The Pittsburgh Bulls. They didn't go with the PS or the PP like most Pittsburgh teams do.
Yeah.
They were the Pittsburgh Bulls, unlike the Power and unlike the Piranhas, who did go with the P. Mike, the Bulls. There was two brothers that played in the league around that time. Their last name was Gates, and that was like the big name back then. I did follow this lacrosse briefly back then, and I do remember it was fun. It didn't last long. Like I said, it went from 90 to 93. Nonetheless, it was a chance to watch lacrosse here in Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh Goons, the Goons, Tortilla saying on the board. My couple off stories. The pierogi that got injured in the pierogi race apparently is suing. The pierogi is suing for getting injured. I don't know the whole story. Maybe they got tripped or something. Remember how the sausage, when Randall Simon hit the sausage over the head with the baseball bat in Milwaukee about 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Well, apparently there's more issues. This pierogi is suing because they, you know what it was? There was a mat on the ground. And when they started to run, they
slept on the mat. Yeah.
And got injured. So the pierogi is suing. Also, Mike, I don't know if anybody saw this. Tracy Morgan vomiting all over the basketball court at Madison Square Garden when the Knicks played the Heat the other night. Mike, that was the best shot of vomit I've ever seen in my life. They got the whole stream coming out of his mouth onto the ground. Perfect shot. If you like seeing people vomiting everywhere, Tracy Morgan, of course, did vomit in Madison Square Garden the other night. Everywhere. First row.
Yeah. Well, poor Tracy Morgan. He hasn't been the same since that Walmart semi-truck almost killed him.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And finally, Kennywood is bought by Dollywood. Dollywood, the same company that owns Sandcastle and all these other places. They buy our amusement park right here in Pittsburgh that has rides like the Steel Curtain. The Pittsburgh Plunge used to be up there. A lot of cool rides. I love Kennywood. You go there pretty much every year if you're a kid in Western PA. But Kennywood was bought by Dollywood. I'm just wondering, Mike, what's are they just going to buy it and maybe keep it up and make the money, or are they going to apply Dollywood type things to Kennywood? Which again, I don't know much about Dolly, but what I do know, I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more of that around town. But that's just me, Mike. Dollywood, you okay with this?
I'm okay with that. Whatever keeps Kennywood open, I'm okay with.
All right. No, I agree, man. I have no big problems. It's like everyone's excited, who knows? Maybe it saved Kennywood. Maybe they were doing bad. Maybe I know the racer was falling apart last year. Remember, blocks were falling off that were supposed to be holding
Yeah.
supports that you literally went over.
That's part of the charm of Kennywood. It is always falling apart.
That's part of the excitement.
But did you
right?
die? Did you
Right.
die? No.
When you
Quit
go
your
into when
bitching
you go on a
and
roller
go back
coaster
in
that you
line.
know you're not going to die on, it's not quite as scary
Dude,
as being on one that
I
you may
almost
possibly
fell.
die.
They had like the magic carpet ride. It was like the big pendulum ride and shit. When it first opened up, it had no belt buckles, no nothing. I'm like 12 years old, sitting there. Next thing I know, I'm on the ground, laying there. People got to pull me back into the seat. Let's run it back. Let's go again, boys. It was fun. That's what amusement parks are supposed to be. They're supposed to be falling down. Got to have a little bit of danger in there.
Dollywood, Mike.
Dollywood.
Dollywood is buying Kennywood. So there you go, guys. That is a big change coming. Again, we don't know what kind of changes is going to stem from that, but nonetheless, Dollywood. We all know about Dollywood, I do believe. So that is also coming, Mike. My last thing is this: it's the first day of spring, everybody. It was 80 degrees on the last day of winter right here. Going to be 60 degrees on the first day of spring. A little switcheroo, if you will. Nonetheless, I'll take 60 degrees. It's a lot better than the freezing, the snow, the ice, the shoveling, the falling, the windshield wipers getting stuck to the window, the snow going into your car, starting the car, getting it to run, getting on the road, worrying about other people sliding into you. Mike, I'm so glad that's all behind us. It is spring as of right now, the 20th, first day of spring, 60 degrees. I don't care how cold it is, as long as it's not cold. We're getting spring weather. We got spoiled at first because at first we were getting 80 degrees, 75 degrees.
Yeah.
So I'm cool with it as long as we're moving in the right direction. We know that's coming, Mike, and I'm totally fine. Winter is behind.
I am happy that it is behind. Hopefully, we can get some steady weather so I can stop being congested.
Well, it's baseball season, so you know it's going to rain a lot. You ever notice
Yeah,
it rains
I
like
know.
constantly through the first month? So
I
rain
hate
is
it.
coming. So that we do know. Pittsburgh, we get lots and lots of rain in the spring. But again, a lot better than all the snow BS. P, let me get this one last couple here real quick for P. Truly never heard of pro lacrosse. Put all the points for sports specialization in the wrong attributes for sure. P also says used to be a lot more preteen amputees back in the day for a reason. Jen, picturing Mike as a kid laying on the ground, popping up, yelling, yeah. Oh,
And
God.
I hate roller coasters. So when that happened, and then I got up and like, let's do it again, I was surprised. But yeah.
And I can only
Hell
picture
yeah.
Mike as being bald. Like that picture of that little kid behind him of Mike where he's bald. That's all I can picture. I can't picture you with your hair flying in I can't. I just pictured that behind you. The dummy or the picture. Everything of you I've ever seen has bald hair. I've never ever seen you with anything with hair. So
no one will see a picture of me with hair. It was atrocious.
Really?
Yeah.
Jen says we got the snowblower out this morning. Oh God. P says we're finally hitting 60 for a few days.
God.
I'm not really familiar with the weather over there, P. That's interesting. So we're gonna have basically the same weather today. Tortilla says Dolly and Kenny sitting in a tree.
Ooh.
But Mike, anything before we do get ready to take off?
Yeah, here's why it's important to hit on your first round draft pick, especially if it's a quarterback. The 2004 Steelers draft. Ben Roethlisberger, then Ricardo Coakley, who
He was okay. Secondary. Coakley was good.
Yeah, but he wasn't great.
Okay, good.
Max Starks, good player, solid player. Then Nathaniel Abidi, then Bo Lacey, Matt Kranchek. Yep. Drew Kaylor, and Eric Taylor. So yeah, hitting on that first round draft pick, especially if it's quarterback's huge, because that Ben Roethlisberger makes that draft class look amazing. When really you got a Hall of Famer. Then Coakley played for about 6 years, and Matt Starks for 10. But if Ben would have been a flop, and those next two picks were your standouts from the draft, it would have been a terrible draft. So yeah, that's why it's important that if you draft a quarterback in the first round, you better hit on them.
You know, that's the way it seems to me. Every time the Steelers draft, it seems like the first 3 picks are always picks that I'm very happy with. And after
Yeah.
that, it's guys you have to start to learn and know who they are.
Right.
You just don't,
Yep.
you know. Um, But yeah, Mike, I do want to say, everybody, I do want to say thank you for checking us out, hanging out with us this morning, afternoon, I guess you could call it now. We do
Yep.
appreciate each and every one of you. We really, truly, honestly do. We wouldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. I do want to say thank you to everybody on the board. You guys are always awesome. You guys always keep things interesting here on the show, and everybody at home. Maybe you're at work, maybe you're in the car, maybe you're at the gym, wherever you may be. We want to say thank you. And we appreciate you hanging out with the Two Dum Yinzers. Mike, we will be back tomorrow at our regular time. There's a lot of things going on between now and then. We do have, of course, March Madness well underway, started about 20 minutes or so ago. But it continues today all the way. The last game goes up to 10:10 starting tonight. So that's going to be around midnight. So if you love college hoops, you love the March Madness tournament, it's on like Donkey Kong. It goes today at least for another 12 hours or so. And then it'll be right back at it tomorrow, all through the weekend. Robert Morris, Mike, they do play tomorrow. They play Alabama at 12:40. That'll be a game that we'll be certainly interested in here in Pittsburgh. Also, Xavier getting the win in the first 4 game yesterday over Texas, 86-80. Coach Miller is from right here in the Valley as well, just right up the way at Blackhawk High School. A big basketball family, of course. Mike, the Pirates, they'll be playing, I think they're off today. Okay, here it
I
is.
think
The
so.
Pirates, they'll be the Pirates are off. They'll be playing Boston on Friday at 6:05. The Penguins, they play also Friday at 7 o'clock. They play the Columbus Blue Jackets. Mike, but of course, the big stuff, as always, we'll be following everything, every move, every whistle, every beep, every sound about the Pittsburgh Steelers, about free agency, about the draft, and everything black and gold. So we'll certainly keep on all that, and we'll be back in the next our regular time tomorrow to go over all that and get ready to head into the weekend, Mike. It's just everything is adding up again. Opening day in baseball is a week from tomorrow. The UFL starts a week from tomorrow. So this really picks up this time of year. Of course, we know everyone loves Steelers, and we do too. That's always number one. But there's so much, Mike, so much sports to keep occupied with, which is one of my favorite times of the year, Mike, because there's just so much. It's hockey, it's Pirates, it's this, it's
Yep.
spring football. It's so a lot of fun, guys. A lot of cool things to keep up on. And as I said, we'll be here tomorrow at our regular time to talk about all that and more. Mike, anything else, man? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I got nothing but thanks for everyone tuning in. It was a great show today. Loved it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody. Again, we'll be back tomorrow, Friday, at our regular time. We hope to see you all then. Everybody have a great day. Enjoy this first day of spring. Hopefully the weather is nice where you're at and you can enjoy it. We're going to try to do the same. But we will be back tomorrow, guys, to wrap up the week. For Mike in the Steeler Central Mobile Studio, for myself, the Two Dum Yinzers, Derpy for sure, of course. He left a little bit ago. And the Two Dum Yinzers, I do want to say thank you and have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.